Friends, imagine yourself walking into a room after months of total silence. And suddenly, there they are again, the narcissist from your past, staring right at you, watching you like a map they once thought belonged to them. But here is the truth. They will never say it out loud. They are not coming back because of love, regret, or real care. They are showing up because they feel something has changed, something they no longer have control over, your strength, your calm, your light. Today, I'm going to show you what happens the minute they see you again and why that single meeting can become a major turning point in your story. The return of a narcissist after a long, quiet time is almost never random. It may look sudden on the outside, an unexpected message, an accidental meeting, a casual, "Hey, how are you doing?" But underneath that moment is a planned reaction to something they have felt. Narcissists are very sensitive to changes in power, attention, and emotional access. When you go silent, when you pull back your energy, when you stop feeding the connection that once circled around them, they feel it deeply. Silence to a narcissist is not empty. Feels dangerous. It signals that control has shifted, that the pattern they believed was permanent is changing in ways they cannot guess. This is the reason their return is never truly spontaneous. They show up the moment they sense that you have stepped into a newer version of yourself, one they cannot easily control or command. Your absence forces them to face a reality they absolutely hate. They are no longer the center of your emotional world. And for a narcissist, this is painful. Your silence removes the mirror they used to see themselves, and without that mirror, they begin to feel unseen, irrelevant, and unimportant. They cannot stand that feeling for long. So when they reappear, it is not because they suddenly understand your value in a healthy human way. It is not because they have realized your worth or want to fix the damage they caused. They come back because they sense you have regained clarity, stability, and personal power. These qualities threaten their ability to influence you the way they once did. They return because your silence interrupted the emotional system they depended on. And they need to know if they can still reach you, still affect you, still pull you back into old emotional patterns. The strange part is that your growth is what pulls them back, not your neediness. They are attracted to the shine of your healing, the firmness of your boundaries, the calm they can no longer shake. Your change triggers their return. But here is the deeper truth. Their return is not a sign of love. It is a sign of their loss. It is their reaction to the shift in power, a final attempt to take back importance in a story that no longer circles around them. When you understand that their reappearance is not random, you stop seeing it as romantic. You see it clearly for what it is, a reflection of your strength, not a reflection of their devotion. Their return becomes proof that your silence is working, that your healing is visible, and that you have entered a chapter of your life where their influence does not shape your direction anymore. And when you realize that their return was triggered by your strength, not your weakness, something else becomes clear. The power of the silence that brought you here. Silence in this journey was more than the absence of words. It was the presence of self-respect. It was the moment you stopped responding to chaos and began responding to your own heart. The quiet you created was not empty. It was a boundary forming, a new identity rising, a message that said, "I am no longer available to destroy myself for anyone." That silence, your silence, is what shook them. Narcissists live off emotional noise, your explanations, your defenses, your reactions, your confusion, your distress. That noise confirms their importance. When you stopped giving them that emotional soundtrack, they had nothing to hold on to. For the first time, they were left alone with themselves. And that is the one place they never want to be. Silence pushes them into a mirror they spend their entire lives avoiding. And while they felt threatened by your quiet, you were growing stronger inside it. In those weeks or months apart, something within you settled. You began to hear your own thoughts clearly. You started to recognize the difference between affection and manipulation, between care and control. Silence gave you back your gut feeling, the inner voice they worked hard to make you doubt. So when they show up again, it is because your silence shook the pattern they relied on. They returned to test it, to break it, to see if your quiet was temporary or truly life-changing. But what they do not realize is that the silence transformed you, it grounded you, it brought you back to yourself. And that more than anything is what they fear. And it is exactly because the silence changed you that their next move becomes so easy to predict when they notice that their absence did not disturb your peace. They try to disturb it with their presence, and they do it in the way they always have, through charm. Charm is their favorite doorway, their most polished mask, their easiest shortcut back into a place they never deserved. So when they see you again after all that quiet, they do not lead with honest reflection or real apologies. They lead with sparkle, with confidence, with a warm smile that feels familiar enough to lower your guard and rehearsed enough to be dangerous. They know their charm on. CE worked like a magnet. It pulled you in without effort. And they hope with all their might that time has not changed that. You will notice it instantly. Their voice softens, their eyes warm. They may compliment you in ways they never did when they actually had access to you. They may try to spark a small memory, a shared moment, a nostalgic joke, anything to make your heart react before your mind does. But under that charm is a frantic truth. They are not trying to reconnect. They are trying to re-enter. They are checking if they can still reach the older version of you, the one who confused their charisma with care. They hope your silence made you stronger, but not sharper. But this time you see what you could not see before. You recognize that their charm is not kindness. It is strategy. It is a test, a small push at your walls to see if they still open. And the beauty is your silence trained you for this exact moment. You can feel the charm without falling for it. You can hear the music without dancing. You can see the performance without handing them the stage again. Because now you know charm is not love. It is a costume, and you no longer confuse the two. And once they sense that their charm no longer affects you the way it used to, something flickers in their expression. It is small, fast, nearly invisible, unless you have learned how to notice it. In that moment, they realize you aren't impressed. You are not leaning in. You are not softening. You are simply watching. And this is when their inner calculation begins. If charm does not work, what else can they try? And this is where the next truth shows itself. They are drawn to your glow, the light you built during the silence. When they see you again, the first thing they register is not your clothes or your words. It is your energy. They scan your spirit like someone searching for valuable treasure. They want to know, are you brighter than before? Do you seem more peaceful, more confident, more complete? Do you radiate something they can no longer reach or drain? Narcissists are drawn to emotional brightness the same way a dry desert seeks water. They do not come near your light because they cherish it. They come near it because they cannot create their own. When you were with them, they fed off your empathy, your compassion, your softness, your ability to feel deeply. But now, after the silence, they sense your glow has changed. It is not something they can mold. It is something you built for yourself. And here is the twist. Your glow does not just attract them, it unsettles them. They sense strength where they once sensed need. They feel firmness where they once felt access. They see a grounded person standing in front of them instead of someone eager to please. This disrupts their entire pattern. So when they reach for your glow, with compliments, with questions, with nostalgia, know what is happening. They are searching for the older version of you, the one who dimmed herself to keep the peace, but instead they find a person who shines without their involvement. That realization rattles them more than anything. And when your glow pulls them closer while also pushing them away, they shift into the next part of their plan, testing. Because when charm does not open the door, they start looking for cracks in the walls. This is where the truth becomes obvious. They test your limits the moment they stand in front of you. It happens fast, almost smoothly. They will bring up a memory that used to make you emotional just to see if it still affects you. They will mention a mistake you made long ago, not to heal it, but to check whether shame still controls you. They will remind you of a tender moment to see if nostalgia still weakens your resolve. They may even drop a subtle ult wrapped in a soft tone just to observe whether you still shrink. These small tests are not random. They are measurements, little experiments designed to see whether your boundaries are solid or flexible. They want to know if they can still walk into your emotions without permission. But this time, you feel each test as it happens. You notice the shift. You feel the intention. You recognize the push, and instead of reacting, you stay grounded because now you understand exactly what they are doing, and you know you no longer have to play this game, watching to see if guilt still bends your posture. They might offer a compliment that feels strangely familiar, a reminder of the praise they once used to keep you tied to them. And if that does not get a reaction, they may reach for an old wound, quietly mentioning a vulnerable moment from your past, waiting to see if your voice shakes the way it once did. These tests are not random at all. They are deliberate. Narcissists have always observed you like a map, where you were fragile, where you were soft, where you hesitated to walk away. So when your glow shows them you are different now, they start pressing those old emotional buttons, hoping at least one still works. They are not seeking connection. They are seeking control. And here is the beautiful twist. Your silence has changed the wiring. The buttons do not respond the same way anymore. The wound does not reopen. The guilt does not pour in. The memories do not drag you backward. Instead, their little test reveals something they never imagined: your emotional strength, your clarity, your new distance. You feel the pull of the past for a moment, but you do not move toward it. And that is when they finally sense the truth they always feared. The version of you they once controlled has disappeared, and the person standing in front of them now is someone they can no longer reach with old tricks or old pain. It is in that realization that their power begins to fall apart. And when every test they try fails, when the nostalgia does not work, when the guilt does not change your posture, when the old wounds stay closed, they start to feel something they never expected to feel around you. Fear. Not fear of you, but fear of the transformation they cannot undo. Because now we reach the sixth truth, the one they hide behind their practiced smiles and their polished confidence. They are afraid of the new you. This fear shows itself quietly at first, a quick flicker in their eyes when you do not react as you used to, a tiny stiffening in their shoulders when your voice stays calm, a pause when they realize your emotions are no longer something they can access on demand. They are not only confused, they are scared because the new you is not shaped by them anymore. The new you cannot be influenced by sweet memories, flattery, or emotional traps. The new you thinks, chooses, and speaks from a place they no longer have access to. What they see now is someone who has healed parts of themselves that the narcissist depended on staying broken. Your confidence unsettles them. Your calmness shakes them. Your emotional independence destroys the dynamic they once believed could never change. Narcissists require predictable people. People whose patterns they know, whose hearts they can push and pull whenever they want. But your growth has rewritten your entire pattern. And it is not only that you have changed, it is that you have become someone who no longer reacts to them at all. Someone who does not chase their approval, does not fear their rejection, does not hunger for their praise. That frightens them in ways they will never say openly, because the moment they see the new you is the moment they understand their influence is gone, their grip is slipping. And their place in your life is no longer secure. And nothing shakes a narcissist more than realizing they have been replaced, not by another person, but by your own strength. And it is that fear, soft but undeniable, that fuels their next move. Because once they understand you have become someone they cannot predict or manage, they reach for the only thing they think might still work: your emotional reaction. This leads directly into the seventh truth. The moment their panic becomes obvious, your detachment rattles them. To a narcissist, your detachment is not just surprising, it is unsettling. They expect tension, anger, longing, anything that proves you are still emotionally attached. But when you face them with steady calm, when your voice does not wobble, when your eyes do not search theirs for guidance, they feel the ground move beneath them. Detachment is the one thing they have no strategy for because it leaves them nothing to work with. They will try to spark something, anything in you, a reaction, a spark, a crack. Maybe they will push you into a deep conversation, hoping to pull you back into old emotional territory. Maybe they will act hurt, confused, or offended, trying to make you feel guilty. Or maybe they will shift to arrogance, pretending your peace does not matter. But under their act, their panic grows, because no matter how hard they try, your emotions stay steady like a quiet door closing in front of them. Your detachment tells them the truth they fear the most. You no longer revolve around their approval. You no longer move to their emotional rhythm. You no longer wait for closure from someone who cannot give it. And this calm, this silence, this steady presence, is something they cannot understand because they cannot influence it. You have stopped feeding their ego with reactions. You are starving the very dynamic that once gave them power. In that gentle, powerful detachment, they realize they have lost something far more valuable than your attention. They have lost their ability to shape your heart. And nothing terrifies a narcissist more than realizing they no longer have control over the soul they once believed would always return. And in the moment your detachment leaves them scrambling, something important becomes clear. Not for them, but for you. This is where the eighth truth rises. You hold the power now because all their tactics, all their charm, all their small tests collide with the reality that you are no longer playing the same role in their story. You are no longer the stage they perform on. You are no longer available for manipulation. You are free. And in that freedom, the balance shifts entirely to your side. They may still try openly or subtly to reclaim what they think belongs to them. They may test your limits, try to drag you into old emotional games, or even pretend to be vulnerable. But the difference now is that you see through every bit of it. You recognize it for what it truly is, an attempt to regain a power they never earned. And by seeing it clearly, you claim a power they cannot challenge. The power of choice, the power of understanding, the power to respond, or to not respond on your terms. This power is quiet but strong. It is in the calm behind your eyes, in the steady tone of your voice, in the certainty of your actions. It is knowing that your worth no longer depends on someone else's view of you, no longer hangs on someone else's approval, and is no longer something to be negotiated. And as they reach, as they push, as they perform, they only reveal the full extent of the control you now hold simply by being fully yourself. The irony is perfect. They returned hoping to see if they still had influence, hoping to see if their old tricks still mattered. And in doing so, they ended up proving the very thing they feared the most. That you have grown past them, past the chaos, past the need for validation from someone who could never offer real care. The power is yours, and it has been waiting behind your silence. And with that power firmly resting in your hands, the ninth truth appears, the one that turns a simple moment into a turning point in your entire life. Your response can end the cycle, because now every word you choose, every pause you take, every calm step or quiet exit carries meaning. You are no longer reacting from fear, pain, or old habits. You are responding with intention, and that intention is the key to breaking the patterns that once kept you trapped. The narcissist will still try to provoke, to confuse, to guilt, to charm, but you are no longer caught in their current. You can decide how to engage, or if you will engage at all. One calm statement, one refusal to revisit old arguments, one quiet walk away can cut the invisible strings that once held you. This is not about revenge or proving anything to them. It is about taking back your peace, your story, your inner world. Your response becomes a declaration. The past patterns do not define your present, and they will not control your future. By choosing clarity over confusion, boundaries over chaos, and self-respect over approval-seeking, you dissolve the influence they once had over your heart. And this is powerful, not only for them to see, but for you to feel. It is the moment you recognize that real freedom was never about removing them from your world physically. It was about removing their authority over your emotions. When you respond with calm awareness, you rewrite everything. Their tests, their charm, their attempts to pull you back, all lose their force. And in that moment, you realize something stunning. The cycle ends not when they change, not when they finally admit what they did, but when you fully step into your own strength, your own clarity, and your own freedom. And once you claim that power, it can never be taken away. And when you respond with confidence, stillness, and strong boundaries, the 10th truth appears. The final revelation, the one that turns the entire experience into your moment of triumph. This is your comeback story. Because the return of a narcissist is never really about them. It is a mirror showing you the distance you have traveled, the strength you have built, and the life you have taken back. Their presence does not remind you of old pain anymore. It reminds you of how far you have risen. When they show up hoping to disturb your peace or take back what they believe belonged to them, they accidentally highlight the truth. You have grown beyond them, beyond who you were. beyond what they once controlled, and the story now belongs to you.